point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me for one moment. I'll be right back.
Our production team, one of many hats that they wear. Marketing team and their other jobs. They do a lot.
Should have parked in the
So, Mr. Ladner, what's going to be the change in the sequence of the agenda? What do you?
We're gonna move wherever does I keep feel it's a great time to move the swearing in of the officers and the fiscal officer.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so I have to leave for 1 minute. I'll be right back.
It's okay. We're still waiting for Ms. Harris, Cassandra McDonald, and Omaze. Here's Sheila right now. Sheila's coming in.
I got Dr. Harris at the front desk. Let me go take care of her real quick, and I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
And she's at the front, okay.
We may have to get her going inside. So give us a couple minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
This is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yes.
The only thing I'm noticing when I'm looking at YouTube is like they can only fit so many of them in the screen. And with me and you being in there, the other board members might not show until they actually.
Yeah. Well, now that Mr. Turner's got it broadcasting, I can drop out. So I will come out now.
Okay.
And I'm going to work on the link to Facebook. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, so it's basically on speaker view. So once you all start speaking, you'll be the main person that they can see. But right now they can see all of us.
Okay.
Okay.
And what does it do? It shrinks each photo as people continue to add on?
Yeah, it depends on the setting Mr. Turner has. Right now he has it in gallery view. So it's just a green bar going around the person that's speaking. But he'll need to change it to speaker view so the person that's speaking will be the main screen.
Oh, okay.
So do you know how many people are tuning in? Are you able to track that?
Currently, no one. Probably
Okay.
because the link's just not getting on Facebook, but they'll be coming.
But I'm saying you're able to track how many people show up
Oh yeah.
to view the Facebook link? Okay.
Yeah, so I'll be letting you all know who's chatting on YouTube, and I'll let you know their comments so you guys can finish.
And the only pictures that'll pop up on here are people who actually have the Zoom code.
Yes, which should be just you all.
Okay.
Well, for whatever reason, my library laptop, the audio wasn't working, so I'm using my personal computer to do the Zoom and using my library laptop with my files up.
You know what? Mr. Mays had the same problem. They ended up giving him a microphone on Thursday to take home with him. So we can look at it so that we can be ready for the next one.
Yeah, but luckily I had my other ones working, so I just use my personal one to do it.
Yeah.
I have to improvise sometime.
Always.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Sheila.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. I can hear your voice, but I can't see your face.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know if that was intentional.
I don't see. I'm new to Zoom, so this is all,
So at the bottom, you'll see a camera. It says you see the camera down there. And there's a little drop up arrow. It'll give you a thing to turn your view on.
Does it say start video or?
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, give us a few more minutes and we'll get Dr. Harris squared away.
Okay.
Okay.
And we're also
Talk to
waiting
Mr.
for
Mays.
Mr. McDonald and Mr. Mays. Well, good morning or good afternoon there.
Good afternoon.
I see that bright smile over there.
Turner.
Hello, Mr. Severa. How are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm well. I can't
That's
complain.
good. Salam alaikum, Sister Saeed.
Walaikum salam. Oh, you can see me. That's good, because I had to run out to my.
Yep.
Oh, you sideways.
Am I sideways?
Yeah, you're sideways.
Sideways.
He said I'm sideways. Let me see.
I see a direct shot.
Yeah, I see a direct shot too.
Really?
Yeah.
I see her sideways.
I see little bars and stuff on the side though.
Bars?
Yeah, it's like everybody else is a full screen and then yours is like a, how should I explain that? I don't know.
I get shrunk a little bit, yeah.
Because her camera's turned. Is your camera standing up or is
Oh, I
it
get an
laying down?
angle? No.
You must go to May.
Now?
It's okay because it's a clear view of you.
It's a clear view. You just sideways.
Oh,
You still sideways to you, Miss Sharpley?
Uh-huh.
You mean literally with her head turned sideways?
Literally, her whole body is sideways.
Yeah, with all of us is straight ahead. At least that's what I see.
Well, maybe it's
That's Miss Sheila's camera. Miss Carol's is okay.
okay. Okay, well, okay, then that's my camera.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm gonna leave out real fast and come back in so that I'm at the bottom of the viewing. Were you able to switch it to speaker view?
That's where you are now, Miss Green. For me, you're at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I see it. It's good now. Okay. So if you're not speaking, you can mute yourself because even if you make a noise, the camera will switch to your camera and you'll be the view. So if you're drinking water, it'll switch to you to think you're talking. So
Yeah, I'm glad you
everybody will be
mentioned
on
it. I'm
mute.
gonna go get me some.
So everyone will be on mute until they're actually speaking. There is a
And I
raise
see
hand.
we're recording live on YouTube too as well, right?
Yes.
Yep.
It's actually it's about 12:08, but all of our members are not present, so we're going to give it a few more minutes, especially considering the fact that this is the first time we did it this way, and there may be some challenges going on. So I'm going to step away for a minute, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
How you doing, Ajua?
Huh?
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
So how you been doing, Sister Saeed?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain about anything, but I had some challenge because I wasn't home. So and it was confusing at first because I thought it was just a website, and then we just used the old Zoom format, and everything came in place. So we're okay. And this is the first time I read the minutes that I didn't see any. It was one of the best read minutes I've seen because you usually have grammatical errors and spelling wrong. This was pretty good.
Right, right.
But how are you doing?
Doing good. Keeping busy at work. So.
Oh, you still working? Feel sorry for you.
I'm there every day, 5:30 to 2. So.
Wow. That's not too bad. At least you get out at 2 o'clock and you can.
Yeah, I have some part of the day to get something done. Yeah.
Wow.
But
So when the meeting come, did anything ever resolve with the land behind the library? Did you all get anything accomplished?
No, we haven't had our meetings yet, and we're gonna hopefully once we get this situated out, we can kind of get on schedule to work on that and try to get some in place by next month to the council.
Okay. Because I just wondered, I said, because I was reading the minutes and it said Mr. Omaze was saying about when it would be posted with the county. Then it was more or less like, they went on, said the committee will handle it. But, who actually paying taxes on that land?
Well, the land is controlled by the city of East Cleveland's land bank. Now, if they've given any administrative responsibility to the county, that's another thing, but still, council has the authority just to donate the land, period, irrespective of who's managing the property.
Oh, wow, really?
Yep.
So there lies a problem, because how soon is the mayor gone?
I think the elections are in, primary election, I think are in August, I believe.
Well, that's a long time. Try to wait for him to leave. Because the IT was challenged by 2 people. I saw Sean Ward had on Facebook, he wants to run. I think it's Sean Ward or someone else wanted to run for mayor of East Cleveland.
There's a couple of people I heard that they're thinking about running. So it's going to be an interesting field of people, you know. But, you know, as the way it's going, he may not even be in office by the time the election cycle comes around. If things go away, they should go.
More corruption in the place.
Yeah, you know, they're already talking about the issue of the $4 million COVID money that he spent without council approval because it never came before city council.
I didn't read that.
Yeah. I was talking with Councilor Martin this morning and said that they never came and voted on it. So he spent the money on his own without any legislative authority behind it. Which is a no-no, really.
It's familiar. People taking that step a little further.
1 second, Mr. Cockfield?
Yes, sir.
Could you contact Ms. McDonald, because I think that she can't locate your the email that you sent her with the board information?
Okay.
You might want to give her a call if you can quickly.
I sure will.
But on the other thing that you guys were discussing relative to expenditures of that money, that doesn't make any sense at all. Did you see the Channel 19 news article on East Cleveland?
No.
No, I heard about it. I haven't saw any of it, but that's what it boils down to, is him making decisions without having any legislative oversight or authority provided, you know, in terms of spending that money.
Yeah, Channel 19 Action News actually had him on. They had it on one of their broadcasts, and he gave them some. I can't figure out. I mean, he sent them some sort of he gave them some sort of document, and from what they viewed on the document, there's no accounting as to where this money went.
He's going to the Tinsery.
$4 million that he spent on that CARES Act money that they sent East Cleveland.
Well, that's not all, but you know, that's federal dollars. So he puts himself under a potential federal indictment behind that.
Oh my God.
So like I said, he may or may not be around by the time election cycle come around.
Ms. Sharpley, are you back? You back in the system? Ms. Sharpley is frozen.
Yeah, she's having a hard time.
It's a mess up there in the city hall. I mean, it's really a shame too, because the way that he just gave them some documents, and it was so random. I mean, I'm looking at the document that they showed on Channel 19, and you compare that to the financial presentations that Ross makes for the library, and you look at that and you almost laugh, because I mean, there's no line by line accountability to where that money was spent, what it was spent on, no checks to cross-reference it or anything else. Right. He just gave.
Like I said, there was never no legislative authority to accept and disperse the money and provide accounting on how to do that. So.
But he said that he passed. Now let me tell you what his response is. That he passed some kind of resolution or something that him and the law director cooked up, which gave him the right to spend the money without talking to council.
Yeah, that right there tells you what.
That's what I'm saying.
So he doesn't understand how people have to go through due process of anything. I mean, he's not a stupid person, so why would he make such a big mistake?
Because his last name is King.
Because you have a law director who is not really a law director who's providing legal cover when she's in her position illegally in the first place.
Right, because she's not even a sworn member
not an employee.
Of the city.
She's not an employee, and she never took an oath of office like she's supposed
a contractor.
To. Yeah.
These people here so cool.
It's a mess.
And that goes back to Gary Norton. So, you know, he's still got his hands in what's going on.
Yeah, I read about him. That's unfortunate. Every time there's a mayor in East Cleveland in the past, you have Ottawa, you have, I remember Pittman, even though he didn't go to, I don't think he went to jail, but he was just some history of people who are just criminals.
Yep. Him, and you figure you had Ottawa, then you had Brewer, then you had Norton, then you had this guy. But this guy's amazing. I mean, he really believes that his last name is his title.
That's funny. Gerald, you ever
Well,
thought about
as I told him, I said, the first thing they need to do is get rid of the Willa Hemmings, because she's the biggest problem. Because that's who's giving him cover. They think he can do whatever he wants to do, and then no council doesn't know how to do their job. They don't know the role of a legislator to understand how to short stop. Because if they don't authorize the money, can't spend the money if there's nothing authorized to be spent.
Right. But, it seemed like to me he's been able to get away with a bunch of stuff beforehand. That's why he took this bold step. He thought he couldn't be checked.
Yep, and he knew they didn't know enough of what was going on to know how to check him.
Sure.
So it's a mess. It's a mess. So definitely got to get that clean. City Hall has to be cleaned out. Everybody got to go.
Oh my goodness.
Because you got Michael Smedley, who's actually being running as the mayor, because King doesn't know anything.
Okay, Ross was supposed to call you. Okay, good. Okay.
They're still trying to connect on other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mr. Mays in the house yet?
Mr. Mays is on his way.
He's on his way. What, to the library?
Yes.
Told you.
Mr. Mays did arrive? Okay, all right, okay. So
you got Dr. Harris and Mr. Mays physically in the library?
Yes.
I'm not gonna laugh at anybody, because if it wasn't for my kids, they're with them.
I'm not laughing at him. I'm just amused at how this is playing out for us. Since we're here together, is Ms. Sharpley, are you still here?
I don't see, she's not, she clicked off. So I think she was having a problem getting, it was freezing on her.
What do you guys think about, it's actually going to be discussed during our meeting, but I'm wondering, what do you guys think about actually having our meetings on Saturday?
I like it. I love it. People
I don't have a problem with it, but longer it's later in the afternoon, because Saturday is a day to get some work done. It was freezing on her.
I see Miss McDonald is doing this. What do you guys think about, it's actually going to be discussed during our meeting, but I'm wondering, what do you guys think about actually having our meetings on Saturday?
I like it. I love it.
I have no problem with it, as long as it's in the middle afternoon. Because Saturday is a day to get
someone mute their YouTube. We're getting a lot of feedback from.
Yeah, we are getting feedback because we just.
What do you guys think about? It's actually going to be discussed during our meeting, but I'm wondering, what do you guys think about actually having our meetings on Saturday?
I like it. I love it.
I have no problem with it.
Every board member just check to make sure that because you're giving us feedback. We're getting a lot of feedback from.
Yeah, we are getting feedback because we.
What do you guys think about?
Something has happened because now we're hearing stuff later and then it's repeating itself.
Someone is watching YouTube right now on either their other phone or their other tab on their internet, and it's feeding into our feed. So they need to turn their YouTube off or mute their YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So can all the board members and everyone here check to make sure that their YouTube is muted?
I don't even have it up, so.
I don't either.
Thank you. Someone is watching YouTube right now on either their other phone or their other tab on their internet, and it's feeding into our feed. So they need to turn their YouTube off or mute their YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So can all the board members and everyone here check to make sure that their YouTube is muted?
I don't even have it up, so.
I don't either.
Thank you. Someone is watching YouTube right now on either their other phone or their other tab on their internet, and it's feeding into our feed. Mr. Turner, you might have to go ahead and mute everyone, and we'll just have to figure out who it is one by one because no one's turning off their other YouTube. So can all the board members and everyone here check to make sure that their
Hey, Cassandra.
Hey, how are you?
I'm all right. How you?
I'm good.
How you doing, Ms. McDonald?
Good. How are you?
All right, and yourself?
All right.
No, there's Mr. Mays. I see he's in the Llewellyn room at the library.
Well, I had to come here because of the fact that they said I wasn't connected, so I had to come here.
That's all right, Mr. Mays. We're happy to have you.
Good morning, Mr. O'Mays.
Good morning, good morning. Good afternoon, rather.
We're just about have enough board members to start. Sheila, I see her name, but I can't actually visually see her. And I think this must be Dr. Harris trying to connect now.
Did you let her in, Mr. Turner? She was in earlier.
Yeah, I did.
Sheila was in, but she had some sort of technical issues that started where her screen froze and she couldn't hear us.
That's the problem I had on.
Mr. Mays is froze too.
Yeah.
So this is all the norm with technology.
Yes, it is. Ms. McDonald, we were having a brief discussion about meetings on Saturday afternoon instead of through the week. It's going to come up during our agenda as well, but just as a general conversation, we were discussing it. What are your feelings about it, and what do you think?
Well, of course, I'll go with the majority, but as long as it's something that's earlier part of the day, because usually this is the day that people get stuff done through the week that they didn't get done through the week on Saturday. So
that's right. I agree with you.
That's what Mr. Severa said too. So we'll, as it comes up, we'll discuss it, because one of the things that happens during the week is that we end up with overtime for our employees, and then secondly after work. So I don't know. We'll go with whatever the majority says.
Okay. And I have, before we start, I guess I'm having trouble with receiving information in my laptop from the board, because the last thing that I have is from October 29th, 2020. And I even just mailed the oath of office to the East Cleveland Library, the Outlook, and it still won't come through. And I needed it on a separate computer so that I can read it, because I can't print it out. So maybe if he can, Mr. Turner, if you can try to email it again to the East Cleveland Library.
So, Ms. McDonald, the way my Outlook works is that if you don't use it after so many times, it automatically does an automatic call to your phone to make sure that you act to confirm identity. Did you ever get one of those pop-ups?
I never got that. And I kind of check it frequently just in case I get, it's some information coming through. And since I got it, I only had that one email.
Because I know every so often it'll ask for a confirmation, and it'll call your cell phone, or if you have it programmed, or your email to send the confirmation code to, then it'll update after that. Because I had to do that this morning.
Yeah, I never got a confirmation to anything to do that, so I don't know.
Okay.
I can see Dr. Harris now.
Cool. Oh yes, I'm here.
So Ms. McDonald, we'll look into the problems with the email. This is not new. It's not a personal technical issue on your end. It's just the type of email system we have with CleveNet. So a lot of times, like I say, you have to constantly relog and reset the password. It's a little too much.
So the only problem we have now is getting Sheila back into the system. Other than that, all the board members are here.
Yep, I'm here.
How you doing, Dr. Harris?
Great, thank you.
I can call it around the technical school.
You know, the problem well, I'm not sure. I had the one on the laptop I had from the library as well, where I would get not new mail, but always old mail was sitting there. So what the person said, I'm familiar with that problem. That's like I'm gonna have to start using my own computer.
Right. If you
Well, my Outlook, like it seems like every other week I have to put the passcode back in.
Yeah.
turn on your video if you want to unmute your sound so we can hear you. Okay, so you're in. Okay, so Sheila's in. She's in. She's about to unmute her video and sound.
Okay.
Okay, as soon as I see her, I'll call to order the meeting.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hands down.
Good job, board. Did it.
That was difficult.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's 12:30, Saturday, January 23rd, 2021. And I'd like to call to order the East Cleveland Public Library meeting, Board of Trustees meeting, virtual meeting on Zoom and being streamed on Facebook. Mr. Turner, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Rashid.
I'm here.
Mr. Mays.
Here.
Dr. Harris.
Present.
Ms. Shahid.
Here.
Ms. Sharkley.
Here.
There you go. All right. Mr. Silvera
Here.
and Ms. McDonald.
Here.
I have seven present.
All righty. At the risk of us sounding like a ragtag band, can we skip over the lift every voice and sing part?
Yes.
Because so for anybody watching on YouTube, I think it would be an embarrassment if we attempt to do it on this forum. So we're gonna move over that and I'll move for the approval of the agenda.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Chairman, I move for the adoption of the agenda.
Mary Ann Harris, second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about the changes into the agenda?
We're not making any changes, are we not, since everybody's here?
I don't think so. Okay, hearing none, Mr. Turner, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Rashid.
Yes.
Mr. Mays.
Here.
Dr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Shahid.
Yes.
Ms. Sharkley. Ms. Sharkley. I'll come back. Mr. Silvera.
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
And Ms. Sharkley.
I missed the whole thing. I was froze.
That's okay. Yeah, we were voting to approve the agenda.
Yes.
All right. I have 7 yeses.
7 yeses, the approval, the agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda is the approval of regular board meeting minutes from November the 16th, 2020. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Carol Shahid, second that motion.
I heard a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. How did the committee information in regards of the property that was in the minutes and you had appointed a committee? I'm wondering, do they have any information in reference to the property that we was concerned about?
We haven't met yet, Mr. Mays.
Yeah, that was, go ahead, Mr. Mays, I'm sorry.
I just asked, could you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we haven't met yet.
You have not met. Okay. All right, thank you.
We had a motion and it. Any other discussion on?
There's no other.
Sorry.
I got one other. I wanted to know if Mr. Mr. Cockfield, is he present?
Yes, I am, Mr. Mays.
Did you have you had an opportunity to speak with the committee? That was also in the minutes that you was going to make some changes or whatever. Did you have an opportunity to with the concerning those changes that you was?
I don't know what changes are being referenced, Mr. Mays. I'm sorry.
If you look on page 15, you said something in reference to.
I don't have the minutes in front of me.
You do not?
No, I don't.
You spoke in reference to discussing with the finance committees changes in.
Well, let me just say, Mr. Mays, the finance committee is not met.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we didn't meet this last month, so whatever changes I might have suggested have not been done, or nor have they been discussed.
As a matter of fact, part of our meeting today, because I don't know if any of the committees actually met, because at this point we have not officially sworn in the members to the new members, well, the new committees and the role everybody has. At this point, you know, I have the list of what we had before, and I wanted to confirm that we were going to continue going forward with that list, so that for the month of by the time that our next meeting comes up, we'll all have an opportunity to meet and everybody will know which committee that they're on, because everybody's pretty much where we've already discussed, but we just have not confirmed it for this year at this point. And, you know, maybe that bears discussion now, but let's take the motion that's on the floor. It's been second, and this is the discussion part. So maybe we want to move to a vote if there's no further discussion on the minutes. Hearing no further. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Mays? Can I move forward?
Yes, the committee has not met, so okay. Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Turner, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Rashid?
Yes.
Mr. Mays?
Yay.
Dr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Shaheed?
Yes.
Ms. Sharpley?
Yes.
Mr. Silvera?
Yes.
Ms. McDonald?
Yes.
That's 7 yeses.
7 yeses, so the motion to approve the regular board meetings is passed. The next item on the agenda is the selection and swearing in of officers. We still had one office that was outstanding, and the votes, everyone casted their votes, and the selection by the board was that Ms. Shaheed was going to be the secretary. She was nominated and voted in as secretary for the board. So I think at this point, maybe I think it would be appropriate to pass the, Ms. McDonald should take the floor.
You're
because
cutting in and out.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
Oh,
Okay.
Thank everyone for voting for me that did.
Congratulations.
You're welcome. Congratulations, and you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to pass the floor, or the gavel. Don't have a gavel, but anyway, Ms. McDonald, you can take the floor. She's actually going to do the swearing in of the officers.
Okay. First and foremost, congratulations to those of you who are being sworn in today. And I'd like to say, as being part of this board, again, I'm always looking forward to working with everybody and doing great things for the community and the residents in the city of East Cleveland. So I'm going to get to the exciting part of swearing everyone in. And the first person I'm going to swear in, humbly swear in, is Mr. Ross Cockfield. So I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. I do not have anything so that you can put your hand on, but this is an oath of office. So raising your right hand should be sufficient for the purposes of this ceremony. Okay, I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. I, Ross Cockfield.
I, Ross Cockfield.
Do hereby solemnly swear.
Do hereby solemnly swear.
Or affirm that I will support the Constitution.
Or affirm that I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
That I will perform faithfully.
That I will perform faithfully.
To the best of my ability.
Best of my ability.
The duties of fiscal officer.
The duties of fiscal officer.
Of the East Cleveland Public Library. So
of
help
the
me
East
God.
Cleveland Public Library. So help me God.
And I welcome you to the East Cleveland Public Library Board again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cockfield.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for so skillfully guiding us along the financial path over the years. I really appreciate it. And you give a great deal of confidence to me for the work that you've done in the past and going forward. Thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to serve.
I don't want you to get the big head now because everyone's saying that you do well. You serve well.
So now I'm going to swear in Mrs. Dr. Carol Ross Shahid for the secretary of the East Cleveland Library Board. Mrs. Shahid, can you raise your right hand? Okay. Repeat after me. I, Carol Shahid.
I, Carol Shahid.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
That I will perform faithfully.
I will perform faithfully.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
The duties of the Secretary of the Board of Trustees.
For the duties of the Secretary of the Board of Trustees.
Of the East Cleveland Library.
Of the East Cleveland Library.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You are officially sworn in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next up is our president, Mr. Zaki Rashid. All right, President Rashid, can you raise your right hand and repeat after me?
Are you sure that's your right hand? He doesn't know his right hand from his left one.
Yeah, I did that intentionally when you started talking about it.
This is our leader.
All right. Mr. President, repeat after me. I, Zaki Rashid.
I, Zaki Rashid.
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
I do solemnly swear.
Or affirm.
Or affirm.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
And the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
That I will perform faithfully.
That I will perform faithfully.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
the duties of the President of the Board of Trustees
the duties of the President of the Board of Trustees
of the East Cleveland Library,
of the East Cleveland Public Library.
so help me God.
So help me God.
You are officially sworn in. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank each one of you for voting for me. I certainly appreciate it. And I will do everything that I can to make sure that I represent us appropriately throughout this year of my tenure. Thank you very much for your support.
No, you will, as you always do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, next up we have, let's see, who is this person? Mr. Otis Mays.
Oh, I know him.
Right. Mr. Mays, you're being sworn in as the Vice President. Congratulations. If you can raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Thank you.
Okay. I, Otis Mays,
I, O Mays,
do solemnly swear or affirm
He's froze.
I affirm
okay, that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio.
that I will perform faithfully
I will perform faithfully
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
the duties of Vice President of the Board of Trustees
the duty of the Vice President of the Trustees,
of the
Board of
East
Trustees.
Yes, of the East Cleveland Public Library,
The East Cleveland Public Library.
so help me God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
And I thank you for, I thank the board for supporting me as the Vice President, or well, voted for me as Vice President. And I trust I will serve you well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
I don't know why we cut it in and out. I mean, you freeze and you come back, you freeze and you come back. So that's what's happening with me. I don't know whether it's happening with anyone else or not.
I see. I mean, I see you. It might like a microsecond every once in a while that'll pause, but for the most part, I know I'm receiving your transmission very well. The only person I had any concerns about was Miss Sharpley, because sometimes it seemed like she was freezing.
Yeah, well, I'm getting that too, that feedback. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And I have the swearing in of Dr. Marian Harris. Okay, because it's attached to my to the instructions, but I wanted to make sure that that was incorrect. Am I right?
Well, we didn't know who the secretary was.
Okay. All right. Okay, so that concludes the swearing in ceremony. And congratulations again to everyone.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
McDonald.
you. You did a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the next part of our board meeting, it has been brought to my attention that I need to mention this on our broadcast because it's pertaining to the swearing in process in a virtual meeting. And it goes as follows. The Ohio House Bill number 404 allows for virtual public meetings. The following rules will continue to govern virtual public meetings. Resolutions and formal actions of any kind will be effective just as if they had occurred in an in-person meeting. Members of the public body who attend the meetings virtually will be considered present for the purposes of voting and establishing a quorum. Public bodies must give at least 24 hours prior notice of virtual meetings to the public and all parties necessary to the meeting and the media that has requested notice in a manner which adequately provides time and the location of the meeting as well as the manner by which the meeting will be conducted. In the case of an emergency, immediate notice of the meeting need only be given to necessary parties and the media that has requested notice. The next point is a method must be established of conversing with witnesses and receiving evidence by means of technology equipment which is widely available to the public. The next bullet point, the public must be given access to the meeting. by means consummate with the method by which the meeting is being conducted, so that the public can observe and hear all discussions and deliberations, live stream or video conferencing, call-in numbers for the teleconference. The library's legal counsel has stated that oaths can be taken via Zoom, provided that witnesses can be seen raising his or her right hand and being sworn. And that concludes the information that I was supposed to transmit to our group as well as to the public. So that concludes that necessary little bit of housekeeping. The next item on our agenda is communications.
And it further goes on, Mr. Chairman, to allow me. Oh, that's okay. I'll just leave that alone. You did not receive staff that's with the in this board meeting as well.
I'm sorry, sir.
The director, you did not recognize the staff that's in this meeting, that's attending this meeting as well. That's the director, Mr. Latimer, and Mr. Cockfield, and Mr. Turner.
And Miss Green.
Miss Green.
Oh, and Mrs. Green, I didn't know she was.
So
No,
so,
I was just saying you did not recognize them at the beginning of the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And you're right, sir. I did not do that. So the next item is communications, having been received. Mr. Director, Mr. Latimer, are there any communications?
Yes, Mr. President, and good afternoon, board and the community. We have two communications. The first communication is a memo from the East Cleveland City Schools in regards to the students coming back in person. This memo was dated January 14th, 2020. However, the East Cleveland Public Library did not receive this communication until late last week. We made calls to the board members in regards to this memo. Also spoke specifically with Dr. Harris and Sheila Sharpley from the Library Services Committee, which gave us a charge. Dr. Harris' response to me was come up with a plan, and Ms. Sharpley's response was we don't have any options but to serve our children. So I'd like to thank the board for their leadership, and I will report out our plan in response to this memo and the director's report. So I didn't want to read the communications. So the second communications is library conferences for 2021. We have a list of dates, the actual conference, and the city. So Mr. Cockfield and I we're working on the budget for the final appropriations to move us forward in 2021. We are budgeting $2,200 per board member to attend conferences this year. However, we are aware that there may be some adjustments and flexibility in these conferences happening. However, we do have the dates. March 6th, the Ohio Library Council Library Trustee Workshop. This will be on Zoom. This is encouraged for new trustees. June 24th to June 29th, American Library Association. The city will be Chicago, Illinois. May, there's no specific date in May 2021 for Book Expo USA, which happens in New York City. I will give a date as soon as it's announced. July 28th to August 1st, Black Caucus of the American Library Association. This is going to take place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. October 13th to the 15th will be the Ohio Library Conference in Columbus, Ohio. We have a few board members that attend the National Association of Black Storytellers. That date has not been announced. And the PLA, Public Library Association, was planned for Portland, Oregon. It's been moved to 2022. So when we get those dates, I will let the Board of Trustees know. As we get closer to these dates, if you're interested in attending any of these conferences, we will share out the details. Mr. Turner will be the one to work with all of the registration and bookings. So we will make this a regular communications as we get closer to the dates of the conferences. So check your schedules. If there's something you want to attend, there's money in the budget to support your advocacy for East Cleveland Public Library. So that's all I have for communications.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the question
Yes, sir, Mr. Mays.
to Mr. Carlos. Mr. Carlos, the National Association of Black Historians going to be held. I know you said the date would be later, but you did not say anything as to where it would be held at.
They have not given us a location. I don't know if Dr. Harris, are you aware of a location for this conference for 2021?
Which one?
The National Association of Black Storytellers.
Yes, but there's it's still under consideration whether it will be Zoom or not. So it's not good to give the date.
So to your question,
What
Mr.
about the one in, I'm sorry, thank you. What about the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma? That's July the 28th
Yes, right now that looks like
of
July
August
28th.
the 1st, 2021. Is that it?
That looks like it will be an in-person conference, but like I said, all based on what's happening with the pandemic.
Yes.
Is there any further
I
discussion?
didn't hear you. You froze on me. You froze on me, Mr.
Okay.
I can address the part about the BC ALA.
Okay, so that concludes my communications.
Okay, thank you, sir. The next item on the agenda is the president's report. And I really don't have a lot, but last Saturday afternoon, I attended the Black Caucus American Library Association's online meeting. And at that time, you know, I didn't know at the time that I joined in on the meeting, the prominent part that the East Cleveland Public Library had played in the formulation of the Black Caucus American Library Association. But obviously, when to the credit of East Cleveland, Mr. For some reason, I always lose the brother's name.
Reese.
Mr. Reese was very much involved in the formulation of the organization, and they were very happy that there was a member from East Cleveland actually attending. And I listened to the meeting, and it was more than anything, it was a meet and greet. And I received that email because I went on their website and signed up. So, and I encourage everybody else to do so too, just to kind of stay in touch with what's going on with Black libraries across the country. And there were members there literally from across the entire United States. And we're well represented as people involved with libraries and doing the work that needs to be done to keep our communities informed, and, you know, making sure that we disseminate information accurately and quickly as possible. But the meeting in Tulsa, Oklahoma is actually going to be an in-person meeting. And I encourage every one of us to go that can go, because as you know, it was the Tulsa riots when that took place there and it killed Black Wall Street. There's a lot of information that's going to be available to us, to the people that attend. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of COVID and what's going on in the country by then, but I think by July 28th or either early in June, we should have some sort of understanding as to whether it's going to be safe to travel and safe to go. I think that in June and they did mention that if, you know, we signed up and for some reason things didn't work out the way that they had intended so that the meeting could not be held, all money was going to be refundable. And so we wouldn't lose anything by signing up in advance. But I know the last time that we attended, it was very well attended. It was packed with people who came to the meeting, and it was in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was really, really a wonderful conference to attend. It was very historical. We went to Martin Luther King's, to the church that I guess in Atlanta where he had spoken. And there were a lot of activities that centered around Black history. So I know that the one in Tulsa is going to be extremely exciting. So I'm definitely intending to go. I really didn't have anything else in terms of a report for this month, but I wanted to share that with my fellow board members, because I think it's important that if you can go, we should try to make arrangements to go. And Mr. Turner would be the one that we work with for hotel accommodations flights, as well as the actual registration to the conference. So that concludes my report, unless I have some questions. Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring up too at this particular time is the discussion about the changing of our meetings to Saturdays and understanding if that in fact works. There's a couple of reasons in terms of staffing that it would be better for us, but it's basically up to the group because we can move it to any day you'd like.
You speaking in reference to our
regular scheduled board
meetings?
Yes.
The regular board meeting?
Yes, sir.
Well, we already have the norm. Mr. Chairman, we have norms as to what time our meetings are scheduled. And I think Saturday is a time for, people to do some people have a job and on Saturdays they're off, they're doing some things. I just don't feel that we keep bouncing the meetings, that we need to stick to the schedule that we have.
Well, researching it,
our normal schedule of meetings, which is the third Monday. And
from what I understand, there's nothing in our bylaws that prevents us from moving the meeting. One of the things I thought about is
go ahead.
Additional inconvenience to our staff when we hold meetings at the end of a day, because they've already been there all day long. And then wherever our meetings go in terms of time and that sort of thing, it
only staff we have
them because
Chairman.
And there's nothing set in stone that we have to hold those meetings on those dates. The meeting time is flexible to the board. So, each of us have a right to input on that, and whatever the group decides is what our new. Now, Ms. Shahid is not, I don't know if she can hear us because I can't see her.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Good. Okay, good. So, that's why I brought this up for discussion.
Well, you know what? To me, it doesn't matter because I'm retired, so it should more input from those who have jobs. But we have changed in the past from Mondays to Thursdays, as I remember, because of the time that it got dark outside, as I remember. But so I know it's flexible. We can change it to anything. There's nothing edged in stone that it has to be on a Monday or Thursday or Saturday. So whatever the group decides is okay with me because I'm retired. You need more input from people probably who have jobs and other things to do.
I think my perspective, I have no problem with moving to a Saturday, but realize that most people Saturday mornings or early Saturday afternoon, people have things that they have to do that they don't get a chance to do during the week. So if it was a time after, say, 3 p.m., I would be open to that. But sometimes we have been going later with our Monday meetings, and that does create overtime issues and expenses for the building operations and security. So that is something to be considered, particularly with the changing in the time and how late it gets dark.
Dr.
So I would say, to create a little poll and to see where we're at with that. But I have no problem with a late Saturday afternoon meeting.
What do you think, Dr. Harris?
Well, I really have to give a lot of thought to it and look at my schedule because I am previously committed to certain dates on Saturday and I have not reviewed my calendar for the year.
Okay. How about you, Ms. McDonald?
I would be open for Saturday. It's just that I know I have a lot of activity also outside of the library, and I would think for myself, maybe sometime between 11 and 3, and that might not work, for other people, but I am open to Saturday. I usually don't do other things pertaining to this, but for the community, because I think that we will attract more people from the community to be looking at the Zoom meetings that we have because they're at home more. So that could be an attraction to get more community members involved. So I'm open. It just depends on what time.
Ms. Sharpley, what do you think? Ms. Sharpley, are you there?
I think our screen is frozen again.
Okay, so I have to try to figure out a way to poll everybody and to accumulate all of the feedback so that we can look at, because it seems like Saturdays may be okay, but later in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me as well.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
no, I'm getting ready. So now, in reference
I'm sorry, I
to
lost you, Mr. Mays.
Saturday, but I was scheduled meeting and then for the employees that's we can schedule, I mean, the director can schedule the persons to come in later, or one work this meeting, the next one will work the next meeting or what have you. That can be changed, but we want to make, and we have set the norms, and it's in our bylaws that the meeting, so that the third Monday in each month at 6:30. We moved it from 7 o'clock. It was 7 o'clock. We moved it down, moved it up to down to 6:30 on Mondays, and I just, this vacillating kind of bothers me. We need to be steady in what we're going to do, and we did it for that purpose, to where people was working, would we be off or whatever. We wouldn't bring it back to 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but we did it at 6:30 at night, where people would be off and would be able to participate in the meetings if they wish to come. So now we want to bring it to Saturday. Saturday is a busy day for people. That's one of the days that they are off, and so I just hope we kind of come together here to set a time that we can perform our duties and do it well.
I agree. And another thing I think that Saturday meetings will probably do to us is increase the amount of public and public participation, because people actually can come and they're not getting off of work and they're not at work on Saturdays on the norm. But anyway, we'll keep working. Miss Sharpley, have you rejoined us? Because we saw you were frozen early. Oh, she said she can hear. If you could take the floor speaking, Ms. Sharpley, I'll see if we can hear you, because I just received your text. Yeah, we can't hear her input. So maybe we have until next month's meeting to set a date. So even though we can't really resolve it today in terms of date and time, and I understand your concerns as you've expressed them, Mr. Mays, but I think that the group together will come up with a time and date and get it set. Yes, Mr. Director, Carlos?
I believe in February, we'll be experiencing the same logistical dates because the third Monday falls on a holiday, which will move our regular meeting to a Thursday, which will give us an option to move it if you call for us to do that. Okay. So again, the third Monday will be a holiday, so we can't have our meeting on the regular schedule meeting next month.
Okay, so we'll take that in consideration as quickly as we can. The board should get together and make a decision. Ms. Sharpley, have you rejoined us? I wanted to make sure that we were all participating in this discussion, but we'll move on from that. That kind of concludes my president's report. And the next item on the agenda is the director's report. Mr. Latimer.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have the agenda.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mays,
I was just saying, let's move the agenda, please.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So in response to the East Cleveland School District going back to in-person, and also in response to the economic relief bill, we understand our patrons will need access to computers, just to access benefits for unemployment, for housing, and for some of the other resources as we trend out of this pandemic. And so our goal is to not only meet that need to our patrons, but also to be a safe space after school for the students that have returned to school. So I want to thank our Deputy Director, Teresa Flood, our Network Administrator, Sarah Green, and our Maintenance Director, Rick Cooper, and myself. We came together to work on a phase 2 reopening plan for the patrons for East Cleveland. We're looking at, and we need some time to train our staff next week, but we want to respond quickly. We're looking to phase in computer services and after school safe space starting Monday, February 1st, 2021. And what that will look like, all patrons and children that will enter into the library will wear masks, of course. We will be taking temperatures for all patrons that enter into the library. There will be an expectation for all patrons to follow the Code of Conduct guidelines. There will be no access to browsing materials. Staff will continue to offer services in the lobby format that we're in right now. So what this plan is going to look like, adults make reservations to use the computers between the hours of 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. At 2:30 p.m., we will shut down the computer lab, wipe down the computers. Then from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we will give the children and teens access to those computers. All the computers and the technology staff will cover the computers during this time frame. They will, clean them. They will make sure they're sanitized. The children's staff will do that. Excuse me. Okay. So the children's staff.
Frozen, I don't hear.
Well, we can't control what's happening with the technology. I'm just doing the best that I can. So the children's staff will monitor the children's room during those times. The adult reference staff will manage and the technology team, the adult staff. So no computers will be available on Saturdays. We'll just remain in materials pickup and lobby service. All patrons will have access to 1 hour for computer use. The computer keyboards will have disposable covers, and the computers will be cleaned and sanitized. The seating area, we will maximize up to 10 patrons. We will have, in the teen area, we'll have 4 computers available. We'll have 2 tables facing the window, 1 table facing the southeast and another facing the west. In the local history room, we'll make tables available on the main floor. We also will make tables available by the window. We will continue our after-school snack program. We'll be grab and go. No eating inside the library. We will maintain that policy. Also, the restrooms, although we're still waiting for some of the equipment to make it hands-free, the patrons will use the theater restrooms across from the Greg Reese Theater. Access to the restrooms will be 1 person unless they're accompanied by a parent. They will be accompanied by security. So this is our plan starting February 1st. We are not going to put it in writing because we know there's going to be changes in flexibility. We're going to meet and train and work with our staff next week. We just wanted to let the board know how we're moving forward. Again, we will be offering computer services for adults from 10 to 2, 2:30, and we will be a safe space after school and offering computer services to students from 3 to 5:30. So are there any questions?
Mary Ann Harris, I have a suggestion. And that is the adult computers, make it from 10 to 2. I think that 2:30 to 3 o'clock is a short time frame for cleaning. You need at least an hour.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will consider that suggestion.
Question, Mr. Mr. Chairman, a question to the director. Mr. Director, where are we in reference to correcting the bathrooms, which we have we got the material? Have they been
Yes, Mr. Vice President.
installed? Are they operable?
No. Yes, it's just a yes and no. We have received the hardware for the restrooms. However, we're waiting for the contractors for installation. I think we're a week behind on the queue. So we're waiting in real time any day for them to come in to do the installation around the touchless restrooms for the toilets.
Okay, thank you. Because I couldn't hear your report. You was kept cutting in and out, and when you come back in, you way down the line on various things.
We're working on a solution for that, Mr. Mays.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, that concludes my director's report. I will be responding to all of the board members in real time how this reopening phase play out. Our highest priority will be our staffing. We will be doing a training next week, and hopefully, safety and health is our highest priority as we move forward. But we know we need to offer additional services for our students and for patrons as the economic relief bill becomes a reality.
I have a question. Do they have an estimated amount of students that's in East Cleveland school system now, or because you might not have anybody coming in?
I received a memo from Merce Robinson actually today. She told me there are 200 students that are in person at Shaw High School. Then at some of the elementary schools, I believe there are 3 of them. The numbers are in between 40 and 50. Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't have the exact number, but I can email the board members what those numbers look like.
So in each elementary school, each elementary school only have 40 students, the whole building?
Right, well, okay, looking at what was returned, the only email that they counted was 200 students returned to Shaw High School.
Hmm.
So I don't have any number.
Used to be 3,000 when I was there, 3,000, believe it or not.
Wow.
Hmm. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a number for the elementary, but we are preparing to drop off for the kindergartners classroom sets of books for ages 2, 3, 4, and 5 as part of our early literacy project. So we're working on dropping off containers of books to those classes, hopefully within the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, I have another question. Are you saying after 2 o'clock, the adults cannot come in the library, or they just can't use the computers?
Correct. They just can't use the computers. They still will have access to the resources by coming in our lobby services to get their books and materials and copying and printing. After 2 o'clock, they will not have access to computer services.
Okay.
Why is that?
We have to separate the children and adults from intermingling in the building. Keep in mind, we are still in coronavirus. It's still high alert, which is red. We're doing our due diligence to make sure that everyone remains safe. However, we know that we still need to offer additional services.
I'm still just kind of startled about the fact that only 200 students.
Well, yeah. That could be the fact that they've been out and they have not gotten the information that school is open.
School really never closed. They just did virtual classes, but school actually never closed.
Right. Well, Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the director's report.
Mary Ann Harris, second.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Turner, would you please call the roll?
Yeah, Mr. Rashid,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yay.
Dr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Shahid,
Yes.
Ms. Sharpley,
Yes.
Mr. Silvera,
Yes.
Ms. McDonald,
Yes.
I have 7 yeses.
Motion to approve the director's report has been adopted. The next item on our agenda is the fiscal officer's report by Mr. Cockfield.
Yes. Let me begin by asking if everyone got the financial statements I emailed about a week and a half ago.
Yes.
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Nor did I. I just received them. This is Omaze. I just received them.
Well, I'm going to get with Mr. Turner and see if there's a mechanism whereby I can share screens with everyone going forward, so that for those who don't get the financials or who have not had a chance to go over them, at the time I give my report, I can simply put them on the screen for everyone to see.
I think that would be very helpful for all of us, and even if we do receive them, to at least have your narrative going through them in detail, I think would be good for everybody. That's all the board members, as well as any public people who actually.
Right, and it would give anybody the opportunity to come back and ask specific questions based on anything that's on the screen. So I think that would just be a good thing for us to do going forward. With that being said, I emailed out all of the financials for the month of December. The bank has been reconciled. I have not posted that reconciliation because I'm keeping 2020 open until I finalize everything, review everything, and submit the report to the state. But as of December 31st, we had reconciled cash balances of $1,156,522.13. Our appropriations came in under budget. I mean, our expenditures came in under budget, and our revenues came in over budget. So to that degree, we're in very good shape going forward into 2021. I also had submitted a fiscal officer's report. I'm going to hold it up to the screen. I hope everyone, I don't know if everyone got this. I'm just going to kind of go over it in summary form. What I had attempted to do was to summarize this year's activity and compare it to 2018 and 2019. And I'm just going to say, as of December 31st, 2020, I'm reading from the report. The library has total reconciled cash balances of, actually this is a typo, but it's $1,156,522.13. The library has closed the year with a cash cushion that we have not had in quite some time, which I think is an excellent problem to have. I've also tried to summarize our revenue and expenditures from 2018 to 2020, giving the board an opportunity to see very specifically what the numbers were and how they compare from this year to the prior 2 years. In addition to that, I've graphed those revenues for specifically property tax, PLF, and all other. And in looking at the graphs, you can obviously see that in 2020, we had additional revenues that exceeded, and we had additional all other revenues that exceeded what we had received in 2018 and 2019. Our property tax revenue for 2020 fell short of what it was in 2019 and 2018. And our PLF revenue for 2020 was pretty much what we had received in 2019 and exceeded what we had received in 2018 as well. At the very bottom of that page, page 1 I'm speaking of, What I've tried to do is to give the board an idea of what the percent changes were from the previous 2 years. So in 2019, the PLF revenue represented a 4% increase of what it was in 2018. And in 2020, it remained pretty much flat. Property tax exhibited a 1% or a 10% decrease from what we had received in 2019. And in the all other category, there was a 48% increase in 2020 over what it was in 2019. On the expenditure side, I've tried to do the same thing in giving the actual amounts for our public services and programs, collection development, facilities operation, information services, business administration, and capital outlay for each of the 3 years. And I've also done the same thing in terms of a graph. At the very bottom of that page, you can see that in terms of public services, collection development, business administration, and capital outlay, there were significant decreases in expenditures from 2019, which gives evidence to the additional revenues or the additional cash balances that we're carrying forward into 2020. What I do need to possibly point out is that in looking at 2020's expenditure percent change, you'll notice that there was a 27% decrease in collection development in 2020, but there was a corresponding increase in 16% increase in information services. I think that points to the fact that the collections are being automated, and patrons are moving more toward automated services, and we're basically trying to keep up with that trend. So I don't want to say that we're buying less books, but I think that what we're doing is channeling those dollars into information services or into those areas where the public is more apt to receive the information, or certainly making it more convenient. The capital outlay column, or the capital outlay figure of a 17% increase or 17% decrease, simply points to the fact that given the decrease in patron activity, there was very little spent in the way of furniture and equipment, which is what comprises this particular line item. In going on to page 3, one of the things I had promised the board was a summary of our PACE activity, because obviously there was a question of whether or not the dollars that we have obligated ourselves to repay have actually generated any kind of savings for the library. What I've done in the way of summarizing the information, I've gone all the way back to 2016 and given actual figures for electricity, gas, and boiler related costs. So in 2016, in reading from the report, you can see that we spent $72,641 in electricity. And corresponding, we spent $13,919 in gas, and then there were $16,560 in boiler related costs. Just kind of going down the column for the electricity, you can see that those dollars are decreasing from 72,000 to 67 to 57 to 53, and then in 2020 it drops to 35,000. One of the things that needless to say, I think it would be the question would be asked as to why the numbers were dropping over the past 5 years, and it has to do with and I want to give kudos to Mr. Cooper and his team, because back in 2016, he made the commitment to begin switching out all of our lights to LED. So over these past 5 years, irrespective of whether or not we had engaged in the PACE project, Mr. Cooper had methodically been switching out the lights, certainly around the exterior of the building, and everything that he could do, they did over the past 4 years. And then in 2020, we engaged the services of Graybar, and they switched out all of the lights in the main reading room, which is why there was such a significant decrease in the electrical costs going from 2019 to 2020. So that basically summarizes electricity, gas, and the boiler related costs. What I then tried to do was to calculate some type of way where we could at least see whether or not the PACE project generated any real savings for us. So at the bottom of that page, bottom of page 3, what I tried to do was to calculate some type of a payback on investment without getting too deep into the weeds. Basically, what I did was average the electrical costs over the first 4 years from 2016 to 2019, that average being $62,878. Then I subtracted the electrical cost in 2020 of $35,343 to identify an annual savings of $27,535. If I take that number and simply multiply it by 10, which is the number of years that we're obligated to repay the money, you can see that that number totals $275,350. The PACE program represented an obligation of $250,000. So I believe that at a minimum, there is a significant payback of our savings to the PACE project. There are obviously some other savings that we will realize, certainly in looking at going further up the top of the page to the boiler related costs. We can see that from 2016 to 2020, our costs have dropped down to nothing. Now, this doesn't mean that there won't be any further costs, because obviously there are going to be maintenance costs or maintenance warranties, I guess, that we're going to be engaged in going forward. But one of the things that will certainly happen is that our boiler costs will be controlled going forward. I'm going to page 4. I'm just kind of summarizing. I have here a new internal control policy is being prepared to reflect some of the recommended procedures from the Auditor of State, and a draft will be presented to the Finance Committee in February. And then lastly, the administration will be providing a schedule of projects and estimated costs to be applied to this year's budget. We anticipate using a portion of our carryover to finance the projects while using this year's revenue to maintain operations. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Yes, Mr. Cockfield.
Yes.
So from a fiscal responsibility standpoint, we made a good decision with going with the PACE program from your estimation? Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. It has paid off. I think that the greatest payoff has been certainly in the savings of electricity. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I know that Mr. Mays. Can you hear me, Mr. Mays?
I hear you now.
Yes, I know Mr. Mays is always bringing up the issue of the fact that we're not fully open to the public, which is a legitimate argument. But I certainly believe that given where we are and the kind of savings that we are realizing, I do feel that it has been a worthwhile project and a worthwhile savings project for us.
But wouldn't that, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mr. Mays, I'm sorry.
Mr. Cockfield, in reference to that, and I am fully cognizant of what you're saying, but have we factored in the fact that we have not been open for a while, and secondly, that the library still is not totally fully operating fully at this time as well. So wouldn't that, factoring that in, wouldn't that have some bearing as to whether we saved anything or not?
Well, I think that, you know, the absolute numbers are what they are, Mr. Mays, and I fully respect what you're saying. We probably won't get a true picture of the dollar savings until maybe 2022 or possibly 2023 when we become fully operational. So I'd have to say that we're going to take it as it's been given, but I certainly respect what you're asking, and I think that going forward, or when we do become fully operational, I think that there will obviously be an increase in electrical usage, but what that number will be in relation to what we have been spending, I have no idea. I don't know.
Mr. Mays, I also think too that due to the fact that the lighting and a lot of the lighting is still in use, you know, even especially during the evenings, nothing has changed there. It would be a slight variance as to when the actual building is operational again and computers are being used and those sort of things. But I think that percentages, from a percentage wise, I don't think it'll be that drastic of an increase that would throw us off of where, you know, of a pace that's acceptable and well within the budget that we had anticipated and what we've seen from other years, just because of the efficiency of the new lighting system. But the question that another question that I had is, did we exhaust all of the funds that we actually borrowed from the PACE program, and have we been making our payments? I mean, I know that we are because they're scheduled, and I think we're in the first year of that payment schedule.
No, actually, we're in the second year.
Great.
We have not exhausted all of the money. We have about $5,000 left to spend.
Okay. Do we have a place to allocate that money where we'll continue to, you know, move towards the efficiency in terms of
actually one of the projects that's being proposed, and I don't want to one of the projects that's being proposed is the window replacement. So in replacing the windows, that $5,000 could easily be applied to those costs.
Okay, because I know that we had involved ourselves with a program with one of the major manufacturers at one point, and then it kind of fell apart once COVID hit. But let me ask you another question, though. I know there's some additional upgrades or some maintenance type work that we need to do relating to the HVAC system. Could that money be technically, and would it be legal to use that money to do that?
We could use it there. We could use it there as well.
Okay, good. Okay.
And excuse me, this is Omaze. What is the time factor? How many years?
10 years, Mr. Mays.
So will we pay it back before 10 years? And will we get any saving from that perspective or not?
No, the actual savings, no, that's a good question. No, the true savings won't be realized until after that 10-year period. Basically, what this is saying is that we're covering our costs for these 10 years. So everything we're saving is basically going back to cover what we're paying out in the way of repayment of the investment. So after a 10-year period, the true savings will actually be realized because obviously the 10-year investment will be paid off, and the dollar savings that will be realized will actually be going straight to the bottom line, so to speak.
I mean, that's a great formula, because you look at the interest rate that we're paying and the terms that we have and the work that we actually did to improve our building and the operation of our building. I mean, that's priceless. I mean, look at what it would have taken out of our budget, even though we had money allocated for building upgrades before we went into PACE. Because we went into PACE, we did not have to use those funds directly out of our budget. We used those funds at a lower interest rate and a much better financing position. So I think that overall, that this is just working out to be a win-win, and all we have to do, and especially even though COVID has really been a disaster nationwide, there are some bright lights, or I should say some good points in it, and the fact that it's been able to bring us some extra money into the system. It's cut down our operation costs. And by the time that we get back to some sense of normalcy, we'll be far ahead of the game than we were before.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, this is Carol Shahid. Plus, it shows to me, if you get the patchwork, the money that was constantly used just patching things up rather than just getting a new boiler.
Exactly.
Right.
And you know, the life of that boiler will take us over well past the 10 years it'll take for us to pay it back.
Right.
And I don't think if there is an advantage to making earlier payments, we can explore that when the time comes around. But I think it's just best to just ride it out and just go through the process.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly an option. That's certainly an option.
Okay, Mr. Chair, and I move that we accept the fiscal officer's report.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mary Ann Harris, second.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Turner, please call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Rashid,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yay.
Dr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Shahid, Ms. Shahid,
Yeah.
Ms. Sharpley,
Yes.
Mr. Silvera,
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
I have 7 yeses.
7 yeses. The motion to accept the fiscal officer's report is passed. The next item on our agenda is the committee updates. And I'd like to start that part off just by discussing the finance heads and members from our previous year. And if there are no objections, I would suggest or would like to see the same people remain in the positions for 2021. And they are as follows. The Finance Committee, we have Gerald Severa. He's the chairman, and Cassandra McDonald is also a member of that committee. Is that okay with the two of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Carol Shahid is the chair. Sheila Sharpley, she's a member. Is that okay with the two of you?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, onward we go. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. O. Mays, he's the chairman, and I'm a member of that committee along with Mr. Mays. And it's okay with me. How about you, sir?
It's fine with me.
Thank you. Library Services, Dr. Mary Ann Harris is the chair. Sheila Sharpley, you're also on that committee. Is that okay with you?
Yes, Mary Ann Harris.
Thank
Next is the
It's okay with me.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Miss Sharpley.
Yes. It's okay with me. Yes.
Good. Next on the list is the Strategic Planning Committee. That's also Dr. Mary Ann Harris is co-chair along with Gerald Severa, and Cassandra McDonald is a member. Is that all right with everybody? Is that okay?
Yes.
Mary Ann Harris.
And Ms. McDonald?
Yes.
Great. Okay. The Ad Hoc Committee. We have Gerald Severa as the chair, Sheila Sharpley, Cassandra McDonald, Mr. Latimer, and Mr. Cockfield are all part of that Ad Hoc Committee. If that's affirmative, we'll continue with the list that we currently have. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, on the Nominating Committee, we have Carol Shahid, Mary Ann Harris, and Gerald Severa.
Well, that's going to change.
But next year?
Yeah, in December or November, I think we do.
November, yeah.
Okay.
Just in case we have changes in the middle of the year, that committee will remain.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with it. I'm
Okay.
okay.
Mary Ann Harris is great.
Okay. So I don't know if we had committee meetings, but we'll start out with the Finance Committee report. Chairperson is Mr. Gerald Severa.
Yes, we have not had a meeting yet, so we'll probably start in February, and then we'll kind of get up to speed where we need to be for the first quarter of this year.
Okay, that's fine. Personnel Committee update.
There was no meeting for personnel this month.
Okay. Buildings and Grounds Committee.
There was no meeting, but I do have some questions I do need to ask in reference to buildings and grounds. I think I spoke in reference to the committee earlier in the minutes in reference to the property that we are seeking. And they said they had not met in reference to that. So I hope that we will meet on that. I hope they will meet on that very soon and get back with us in reference to that situation. The other things I would like to have a fully update as to where we are with the bathrooms, getting those corrected and retrofitted to the time in which we are faced with. And secondly, the windows, I hope, would be a part of some grant. I understand that we have received, that it would be towards those things, correcting the windows, which has not been corrected in the PACE program or whatever, as well as the marquee that we spoke of, which would keep the public informed as to what activities are going on here at the library. And I would like to hear from the director, Mr. Latimer, or either Mr. Cooper, if he's present, to give an update as to the bathrooms in particularly, as well as the whomever wishes to give a report in reference to the marquee and the windows.
Mr. O'Mays, can you hear me? This is Mr.
Yes.
Latimer.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll have a full report for you. Hopefully the completion of the restrooms by the time you set your agenda for the next buildings and grounds meeting. Again, yes, we have some of the hardware technology. We're waiting for the contractors to get on their schedule for installation. We're waiting in real time any day now. So hopefully we'll have a full report around the restrooms. The marquee is part of the strategic initiatives that we're moving forward. Our team, we're working to identify the highest priority projects, which we will bring to Mr. Cockfield with quotes and numbers, which is the first step. We will share with the board what those priority projects are for your support so we can get final numbers. Then we'll start moving through the process of getting those big projects completed for 2021, between 2021 and 2023. So we have identified the highest priority projects. Yes, the marquee, the windows, and some other projects are a part of that initiative.
Just to add another one, Mr. Latimer, I read somewhere, I don't know whether it was in a resolution or whether it was in some information I received in reference to mold in one of the, it's skipping at the moment. I do not recall as to what particular area it's in. I think that needs to be addressed ASAP.
I agree, Mr. O'Mays. That's the area where our passport program, our reference collection, and nonfiction books are. That's one of the spaces that we will be repurposing for some of our new initiatives. That particular space would be our copy printing, pretty much maker space and meeting space. So we'll have a full plan for you in regards to what that will look like, what our plans are. However, there is some behind the scene maintenance that will be required for us to move forward to get those projects going. So we'll have a full outline of where we need to go at the February meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just like
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, do you have any concerns or questions in reference to buildings and grounds?
No, I was only thinking about the marquee, and I remember that the director had informed us that they were going to put together the information regarding the bids and the and having some design people come in for us to take a look at that, because that's important to me. But one of the items that I wanted to make sure that we had on our radar at least is the equipment to do our own live streaming from the library, to include the various activities that we conduct there at the library, our meetings when we want to stream them, as well as any other information that would be useful to the community in the city of East Cleveland. And having a channel, even to run a community bulletin board from that channel, where people could come to the library's channel and see activities and encourage the community to list their activities on our community bulletin board. So if once we get our channel up and running, and the director and I are trying to set up a meeting for sometime next week to go talk with a company that actually provides those services and can assist us through that process. But this, at least we at that time will have some way of evaluating the cost of running it and operating it, because it does not require that we have someone there 24 hours to run the channel. Once the equipment is set up properly, a person could go to our channel, tune in at any time, and whatever activities are running, they constantly just kind of, they just run. But I think the community bulletin board is going to be a very effective and essential part of our growth as we move forward during the year of 21. And, you know, I really want us to be active in participating in this upcoming election, from whatever legal position the library can have in terms of keeping people informed and helping voters know what their responsibilities are, trying to encourage new voters, because we do have an election in the city of East Cleveland, and the library should play an important part in informing voters. We can't tell anybody who to vote for, but I think it is imperative that we get involved as an institution of higher learning, and for providing information to people to encourage them to come out and vote, because a large part of what has happened in our community is because of lack of voter participation. In a city of over 16,000 people, in the last mayoral election, less than 3,000 people voted. And the election was decided, I think the mayor won with like 200 or 300 votes.
Wow.
Yes, we are discussing improvements around our technology. We understand where the board stands in upgrading. We do want the community and also our board members to know that the East Cleveland Public Library is a nonpartisan organization. We are all about providing information and education to our community.
Well said, Mr. Director.
If there's no further discussion or concerns, that ends Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, sir. The next item on our agenda is Library Services Committee update.
Basically, the Library Services Committee is yet to meet, and we will have a full report at the next meeting. However, the director can give you additional information on book services and purchases. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda would be the Strategic Planning Committee.
Strategic planning is in the process of setting up quarterly meetings. Thank you.
Okay. And the next and last item on this part of our agenda is the Ad Hoc Committee update. And I would just want to, even if there's really nothing that has happened recently, I just want to kind of stay abreast of what you guys are.
What we're going to do is I'm going to try to come by the library this coming week, sit down with the director, and make sure that all the information that's been collected, everyone will have a copy of everything, including the videos from the community development meetings that were held on the subject matter. And then from once we know everybody has all the information has been collected, then we'll set a meeting date to sit down and kind of go through everything to make sure and discuss a plan of action going forward.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that, and that includes the approach to dealing with the property in the back of the library.
Right. Right, and going and presenting a formal package to City Council and asking for their vote.
That's wonderful. The members of that committee is yourself as chairman, Sheila Sharpley, Cassandra McDonald, Carlos Latimer, and Ross Cockfield. I really think we have a dynamic team to put forth our position, and I'm looking forward to a positive conclusion of this matter, because I think it's just kind of been just hanging out there too long. So I'll just await you guys, the report from you guys' work, and good luck to you. We're really counting on you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is new business.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think there was a typographical error, and Resolution 01/01/2021 was not included in the printout that was sent out to everybody. So I'm going to ask for an amendment to the agenda to include the resolution 01/01/2021, which is a resolution regarding a donor grant to the library.
Okay, there's been a motion made. Do I get a second?
Mary Ann Harris, second.
Further discussion on it. I actually have a copy of it, and
yeah, we have it. Yeah, we have it in the board packet, but it wasn't included on the written agenda.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. Would you like to read that? Who's that? It's from me. So do you want me to read it?
I can go ahead and read it.
Okay.
This members of the East Cleveland Library Board of Trustees have discussed and reviewed the following items. Resolution 01/01/2021, resolution to accept $10,000 grant from Cleveland Foundation donor. Whereas we have received notification from the Cleveland Foundation that they are processing a $10,000 grant from one of their donors advised funds, and whereas the family wishes to remain anonymous, whereas the grant is designed to be used for whichever the board deems of highest priority. Now therefore be resolved that the East Cleveland Public Library Board of Trustees accept the grant and receipt of said funds to account 1000-651-000 unrestricted contributions individuals. And I move for its adoption.
Mary Ann Harris, second.
It's been moved in second. Any discussion?
I would like to share that this is this donor requested to remain anonymous. It did come from the Cleveland Foundation. Attached with this resolution, because it's not part of the norm, with this money being these funds being unrestricted, the communications with myself and the program manager, donor relations technology officer, for full transparency. And you'll see in those comments, Carlos, thanks again for turning around the information so quickly. I just want to let you know we are processing the $10,000 grant from one of our donors advised fund. The family wishes to remain anonymous. While I share a list of your priority programs and projects, the grant is for whichever your board deems the highest priority. Part of what I communicated to the family was our new strategic initiatives, and I listed some projects to them in real time. The carpet conference room, the furniture, smart tables, the digital display marquee, the studio project, which includes kind of what our board president suggested how we upgrade, and our print services huddle spaces. These are some of the projects that although we have many that I submitted, we had a very short time window to submit to that donor, and within minutes, we were given approval for these funds. So now it's up to the board to determine where they would like these funds to be appropriated.
Chairman?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mays?
I recommend first to the board as well as to the administration. I would say number two, the conference room. This room is in use as a meeting room. However, the walls are tearing apart and mold is starting to grow. That takes precedent over anything else because it affects the lives of people or their health. So I recommend that one, number one project, taking care of that one. Because if we do not take care of that, we're exposing not only the employees, the public to a hazardous condition. And we're already faced with one. We don't, suddenly doesn't need any more situation. And number two, the marquee. Somebody laugh at it.
Mary Ann.
The marquee, because it does share information, what's going on behind these walls and doors here at the library. And so it plays a pivotal role. So those are my two, and some of the others I have question marks. Or if I had for number three, I would be studio, I think would be my third choice. I think it plays a pivotal role as well and help the community.
Yes, I see Ms. McDonald has her hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that I point this out from a legal perspective in terms of the mold at East Cleveland Library, to assure the community and people who may be watching that we are not putting the public in immediate harm's way, that we have ensured that these things are not posing a health risk at this time. However, we are concerned about that, and we are doing our due diligence in ensuring that those repairs, as Mr. Mays has stated, will be taken care of to, again, ensure public safety.
Thank you very much for that comment. I just wanted to interject quickly is that our first thing I want to do is say thank you to the anonymous family who thought enough about our library and entrusted us with their funds. $10,000 is a lot of money, however you look at it. And the people who looked upon us as being a place that they wanted to help us and to invest in us, we want to say thank you to them. And I also want to say thank you to all of us and our team, because without the work that we do, I don't think that we would have been acknowledged and given someone's hard-earned money in that way. And they wanted to become anonymous, because even though we don't know who they are, they know who we are. And I want to say thank you to that. Mr. Director, you had your hand up.
Yeah, the first comment I wanted to make for Mr. O'Mays, there's some funds that we have in our general fund from another grant that because of COVID, we could not have a community festival. We have a request into Cleveland Foundation for repurpose of those funds. And part of that request is to do some type of upgrades to that meeting room space. So we're waiting for approval there, which we have not heard anything yet. Also, in regards to these funds, there is a report that I have to send to the Cleveland Foundation. It's the Designated Donor Advised Fund. It doesn't have a date, I believe, before the end of the year, but I would like to have things timely within the next maybe 6 months or so. We have to report out what we did with these expenditures. So the sooner the board can designate where they want the funds to go for whatever particular project, I need that information to report back to the Cleveland Foundation in a timely manner.
Okay. And I also want to say at this time, thank you to Ms. McDonald for the clarification of the risk to the public. I think that needed to be said, and appreciate the fact that you made that statement, because I definitely understand Mr. May's concerns, but I also appreciate your assurance to the public that we are not putting anyone in jeopardy. So the resolution has been, motion has been brought to adopt the resolution. We did get a second. Was that Dr. Harris that seconded?
Yes.
Is there any further discussion?
I would just make a comment that we will make sure that that will be one of the topics that the Finance Committee discusses at our meeting next month, and that any other board members that have any ideas or recommendations, to please pass that information on to Mr. Cockfield, Mr. Latimer, myself, and we will have that conversation at the Finance Committee meeting next month.
Okay, thank you. Hearing no further discussion, Mr. Turner, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Rashid,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yay.
Dr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Shahid,
Yes.
Ms. Sharpley,
Yes.
Mr. Silvera,
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
I have 7 yeses.
The motion passed, the motion passed to accept resolution, this is 01/1/2021 to accept the $10,000 grant has passed. The next item on the agenda, old business. I hear no old business.
No, we got to have the other resolution about the change of time.
Oh, I would like to make a motion to table that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mary Ann Harris moved to table the resolution for resolution number 0102-2021, approval of date and time change for regular board meetings.
Motion is made. Can I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Turner, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Rashid,
Yes.
Mr. Mays,
Yay.
Dr. Harris,
Yes.
Ms. Shahid,
Yes.
Ms. Sharpley,
Yes.
Mr. Silvera,
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
I have 7 yeses.
Yes, 7 yeses. So we've tabled resolution 01/02/2021 for date and time change for regular board scheduled meetings. The next item on the agenda is old business. So I guess we don't have any old business. Is there any new business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the new business, I would like from this point forward, hopefully, all resolutions, whatever passed, it should have a date and time that it was signed, as well as the date and time it was passed.
Okay, you have a copy of it in front of you?
I have a copy in front of me.
Okay, I see it as well. And I think we need to add that line on there for sure. For the date and the date of in fact, I went backwards instead of going forwards because the next item, actually, I noted what you just said though. I agree that there should be a date on this document.
And also, as a sponsor, who sponsored the resolution as well, should be on that too.
Yeah, it is. That is on there. But so the next item on the agenda today is audience participation.
Yes, in response to Board Member Cassandra McDonald's request at the last meeting, we invited health promotion consultant in East Cleveland, community advocate Jacqueline Adams. So she's going to talk about the COVID vaccine, and hopefully, if she's available, we would like to bring her to talk about the vaccine to our staff. So welcome, Ms. Adams, and you're on the clock.
All right. Well, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. To Mr. Lattimore for reaching out to me, as well as to the board for welcoming me this afternoon. So once again, my name is Jacqueline Adams. I actually work for Anthem in insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'm a health promotion consultant with them, which translates into I concentrate on the clinical gaps that our members, that we ensure that they cover. So that could be from a colorectal to breast cancer, mammograms, BMIs, blood pressures, and things of that sort. And so, of course, there's been a lot of talk. Last year was very traumatic for a lot of people on many levels, whether it was from just medically or from mental health to just socioeconomically. So what I did was I provided Mr. Lattimore a document that actually was provided to me from my primary care doctor, which is Dr. Frederick Harris. He is a Black physician with Cleveland Clinic, was in practice for many years, but then joined with Cleveland Clinic. He's up at the Severance Medical Center. But I want to point out that he is actually also part of the NAACP. He chairs the health, he is the health chair for the NAACP, as well as he is the co-chair for the Ohio NAACP. And so he provided me this document at one of my visits just to provide more clarification about COVID. And so I did give Mr. Lattimore a copy of that, and hopefully he can share that document with you all. It's a little in depth, but I think it gives a very clear explanation and kind of the foundation of COVID. So first, let me just start with, when we talk about COVID, I don't know if you've all heard of the term SARS and COVID. So SARS, which is what COVID is severe acute respiratory syndrome. And so when you hear, which I'm sure many of you all have been paying a lot of attention, and we've had really no choice, you hear about the ventilators and a lot of the respiratory issues. And so in the document in particular that I want to concentrate on are how this impacts us. And so one of the things that this document references that Dr. Harris mentions is that 80% of the coronavirus cases are mild and do not require hospitalization. However, even in the mild cases, there is significant adverse results to COVID. And so I think that when you think about and when you hear about a lot of people who have been impacted by this, these are things that are very important that should be on your radar. So some of those cases are persistent respiratory difficulties, such as coughing and dyspnea, okay? And then also associated with it is fatigue. You hear a lot of people say that. GI issues, such as nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Also rashes, and then it can even impact your neurological dysfunction and cause memory impairment and insomnia. Now, those are some very serious types of, if you will, cases. But if you listen to, or if you've had someone, or if you know someone who's impacted with COVID, these are very common. And once again, this was stated that, 80% of COVID cases are considered mild or asymptomatic, as you may hear. So one of the things that the CDC wanted to acknowledge is that patients do not recover quickly from this. Instead, they experience ongoing symptoms, such as fatigue and the cough. Many of a third of the patients are never sick enough to be hospitalized, and so they do not return to their normal health. It takes maybe up to 3 weeks after their diagnosis, and the results can be prolonged in many of the people with outpatient illnesses. So I'm going to give you all an example. Prior to this, me joining you all, we had a sorority event. I'm an AKA, and we had our Founders Day. And so one of our sorors talked about she contracted the virus in February. She was young soror, and she had the coughing, she had the breathing. She said that she really didn't think that it was serious. But then as she started experiencing more symptoms, it raised flags for her. Okay, so she went and got treated. She started feeling better by April. To this day, this is almost a year next month, she is still experiencing the coughing, the runny nose, and other symptoms. And so I'm sure that many of you all have seen Facebook pages and other social media or, talk to individuals that have had prolonged results from COVID, okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is not, something that to not be taken seriously. Okay, and then also one of the things that I also wanted to mention is kind of how Trump approached this, and thank goodness, that administration has moved on. But the way that he approached this whole COVID was referred to as a herd immunity. Okay, and what is that exactly? That occurs when enough people become immune to a disease to make it spread unlikely. The herd immunity is achieved by vaccination or mass infection. It has been suggested that the Trump administration had adopted a herd immunity strategy to just let it rip, which is what it did in America, and then to provide no mitigation or strategy about how we were going to affect or how we could try and herd in on this particular virus. Okay, so you all saw that unfold. So the reason why, I guess, one of the things why I like so much what Dr. Harris wrote was how it impacted the Black community. Because, of course, everyone thought about the Tuskegee experiment, the syphilis, when you think about something like this pandemic. Having graduated from Tuskegee, that was my walk. That was my life.
Wow.
And having seen it firsthand. So, it's a lot of what happens in our community and how it impacts us. So this is what I want you all to really listen to this. During the pandemic, Blacks have a rate of infection that is approximately 5 times that of whites. 5 times. Blacks compose 13% of the population, but have a COVID fatality of 24%. As a matter of fact, the 218 deaths, and now that's higher, over 22,000 deaths are results of Black people. So in other words, the number of 100,000 deaths, we should proportionately expect 13,000 deaths, since Blacks represent 13% of the pie. Okay, so how does this translate as far as how it further impacts us from a health and socioeconomic inequities? And so this is where my passion comes in trying to combat that in our communities. And so this pandemic sheds light on the long-standing health and racial disparities we all hear about, we talk about, we know people who have been impacted. White America catches a cold, but Black America gets pneumonia. Okay? These health inequities are long-standing, and there's systemic racism factors that are a basis for many of these disparities. And one of the things that DeWine did when he put together a coalition of health professionals, systemic racism was a major flag that if any of you all have been a part of any type of Zoom or any type of conversation, this has been going on generationally for years, okay? And I don't know why it took the pandemic to bring greater light to it, but unfortunately, it's nothing new to us, okay? So Blacks are more likely to experience social economic inequities, such as exclusion from health, education, social, and economic resources. And these inequities can lead to worse physical and mental health outcomes for Black patients. Minorities have a higher rate of medical conditions that make them vulnerable to severe infections and death if they catch the virus, such as diabetes, high blood pressure, or cancer, obesity. These things severely impact us. And if you smoke, COPD, asthma, kidney disease, all of these things impact this virus to, once again, as I stated, it's an autoimmune respiratory syndrome. So it attacks the weakest part in our bodies. And so what happens is that by most of our people, many of our people may not have the insurance or the medical care. It impacts us in our ability to work. And then if we can't work, what you see economically, they don't want the health care. So prior to me coming on board with Anthem, I was with Cleveland Clinic for 11 years, and I was just across the street. And so my whole population, my whole life, my whole passion has been dealing with the underserved. And even before the health expansion of Medicaid, many people, people of our color, did not want to get looked at, financially. They didn't want a bill. they don't open their bills. So they didn't even want a bill. They didn't want to be, have to incur anything. So they would just go, without any help. And so the ER, when Huron Hospital was open, was like the doctor for them. They would come to the ER for everything. And so, which was sad. And so when we opened up the center, we tried to address many of those. And then thank God the Medicaid expansion came along, and that allowed us to allow the people to get the care that they needed and the assurance. Much of what happens with the COVID is also trust, so we're going to move along to talk a little bit about those vaccinations with the Pfizer and the Moderna, and now the newest one that's on the line is the Johnson & Johnson, which is the one shot. So one of the things that I would say, and we are all saying, is that we should get the vaccination when it is available. And there are a lot of red flags with our people with taking these shots, because it's been so much kind of back and forth on if we can. But really, our society will not get to any type of normalcy if we do not have this particular vaccination. If you talk to a lot of older people, they even talk about the polio. My mother had to take that. It was dropped on a sugar cube, and Mr. Ross might remember that. my uncle. And that's how they administered the polio. So as scary as this is for us to receive this vaccination, it is better for us to have it than us not to have it, okay? And the other thing that I would like to say is that I just want to go over again as far as the exposure to it and what are some of the symptoms, the fever, the cough, the shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, chills, repeated shaking with chills, muscle pain, whole body aches, headaches, sore throat, new loss of taste or smell, vomiting, and diarrhea. And I don't know if any of you all have had the flu shot, but oftentimes when you get the flu shot, you do sometimes get sick behind it. It seems like the flu. I see Miss Sheila shaking her head like she's never had that before. But that's been the consensus when people get the flu shot. Unfortunately, we all do not want to get this COVID. And so if you can prevent it from being exposed to anyone, make sure you wear your mask, make sure you stay 6 feet 6 feet in distance. And then most importantly, wash your hands. I tell people all the time, I think so much of this is about cleanliness. And it's interesting to me because when I was over at the clinic for those years, and I worked right when you come in the door, I was right there in that center. I used to clean that center all the time. I mean, I would go through aluminum wipes like it was, Clorox wipes like it was nobody's business. The reason why is because when you have so many people coming in and out of any environment, and people have germs, even if they don't know they have germs, they have germs. And so you have to constantly clean it. So the fact that they need to tell you to wash your hands 20 seconds or however long it is, most of this should have been embedded in us as kids. When you grow up, you are taught certain things to be clean. And so what I would suggest to anyone here that's listening today is to just make sure your environment is constantly clean, from your offices to your cars. And I still wear gloves when I go in the store. I double up my mask, and I'm very cognizant of where I go. The other thing that I like to say too is that as much as it's hurtful that we can't be with our loved ones right now, it is the best. Because the thing about this COVID is that it does not have any indicators if you're going to have it or not. You don't really know. Some people, like I say, are asymptomatic, and they be walking around and may have it and don't know they have it because they're not getting tested. Now, there's a lot of places that are testing. Care Alliance does it. The county, of course, does it. Neon does it. A lot of the drugstores, they do it. So you can always go to the county website and find out when they will be having testing if you feel that you need that. They are coming out with a new test that is a home test, if you've not heard, and that's kind of combating when because they're going to start letting the kids come back. And so this home test is supposed to be where you will be able to do the swab yourself and then be able to get the results. And they said they've improved on the outcomes of this particular, home test. So that's something that I think will bring a lot of people a little bit more peace, because, I think if you saw early on when they would do those COVID tests and they would like shove that thing up your nose and it looked not the best. It was kind of painful. And some people said, it's not a good feeling. So I think if you're able to do it at home in the comfort of your home, it might be a lot better for you. But I would just say that if you have any questions about COVID, I would suggest that you go to the CDC website and you read what's going on as far as that's concerned. The document that I gave Mr. Lattimore is a wonderful document on behalf of the NAACP and my doctor, who is very proactive with what's going on. And then I would just also continuously educate yourself with DeWine and what he has going on. He's allowed testing for individuals 80 and older, for and of course the essential workers in the hospital and in the nursing homes. But there may be some other wiggle room with hopefully we'll be getting more vaccinations. I'm looking at the Johnson & Johnson where it's just one shot, because that Pfizer shot is a 2-shot and so is the Moderna. And because they don't have enough of it right now, which hopefully that will be happening soon, we'll have enough vaccinations, that won't be a problem. But people are kind of feeling half and half on if they're going to get the shot or not. But at the end of the day, I would say you need to have the shot.
Ms. Adams, I have a question for you.
Yes.
In fact, I have 2 questions. One being that with people getting these vaccinations, is there any threat to people who decided not to get vaccinated? Does that, if you're around somebody that actually took the shot, does that expose you to the possibility of getting COVID? And the second question was, do you have, or is there information available on the mortality rates of people who have actually taken these vaccines?
Well, so that's a good question. So I can tell you all that there's an app that I use called the Citizen app, and it gives me daily updates on the actual doses. Okay, so presently there has been in Ohio over 1 million doses distributed of the vaccination. It doesn't say which type, if it's Pfizer or Moderna. And then it says people initiating the vaccination, it's been over 545,000. Okay. And they said doses used, it's been 45%. Now, once you get the shot, I cannot tell you whether that puts the other person at at less of a risk. What I will say is that everyone who should be in your household, until everyone is vaccinated, that's when I would think that you would have more, I would say less risk. That would be my suggestion.
I guess what I'm saying is that if someone else once a person gets that shot, do they actually have the virus in their system they could pass to somebody else because of the shot?
Well, the shot, from my understanding, is, and they talked about that this morning. As a matter of fact, they said that it does not cause the disease. It does not do that. It does not cause the disease. So if the disease is already in you and you get the shot, it does not do that. The shot is a synthetic version. So whatever the serum is in the Pfizer and the Moderna, it's just helping you already have induced antibodies within your system to fight it. And all it is just helping to combat and work with those antibodies so that you won't get the COVID. Okay. If that makes sense.
Okay, so the way I'm understanding this is that So when you get it, you're not actually being given the virus. You'll be given something to stimulate your antibodies to help you
Yes.
fight it off.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And the
Yes.
mortality rate of people who've had negative or fatal reactions to this virus, are those numbers available?
I have not seen any numbers on that yet. We've just seen stories. What I have heard is that more of the elderly have been the ones that's faced the mortality. I've not seen too many. I did see a doctor who passed from it, which was unusual. But I've heard more of the elderly have that's taken the shot have been the one that's been impacted. And that's one reason why DeWine is initiating the whole rollout of those 80 and older.
And they weren't sick before they took the shot? They were or were not sick before they took it?
So I do not know if they were. I would like to say that at that age, you have pre-existing issues at that age. So I would like to say that they had something, whatever it was. And also this is too, I need to bring light on this. It was also stated that if you are allergic, we all have allergies. So if you are allergic to like maybe haven't had the flu shot or some type of shot, cancer shot, that you need to consult with your doctor first.
Right,
Okay?
because if you already made it to 80 without getting sick and then you get a shot and suddenly all these other things, that you get took out of here.
Right, exactly.
I heard that too, that there was that one doctor, Dr. Gregory from Florida, who died from actually taking the COVID-19 shot. But I also read that when was it, last week or the week before last? It was 578 people in Idaho who took the shot. 12 of them died from it. So, it's not, percentage-wise, it's not a lot, but then it is something to see. To know that there is, and then just being online, those who took the shot who actually had adverse reactions to it, like anaphylactic shock, or instance where those are dies, and then some who are having neurological problems behind it. And this one lady was speaking about getting a shot, and her symptoms are more or less like Tourette's, where she can't control her body well.
Right.
So
and I think that's what's so scary about the COVID, because my sorority sister, like I said, who's very young, she's developed heart issues now from having COVID. And for me, and she's not the first person that I've talked to or I've even had a conversation with, that it seems as though it attacks areas where you didn't think that you had a problem, but now all of a sudden you have a problem. And that's a scary thing. To me, I'm just mortified by that. But she has heart issues now. She said she thought she was actually having a heart attack. And come to find out, she had to go see a cardiologist. She had to get a stress test. She had to get an echo. And she's a young person. You understand? So there have been young people that have died behind this as well. Okay. This COVID has no age. It has it does not have any type of designation on who you are, what you have, if you got money, if it has none of that. It looks at not any of that. And so that's the reason why I think that we have to constantly, as much as people do not want to keep hearing about it, but we have to continuously having a conversation, and especially in the Black community, because as I said, our biggest fear, and I know even when I was at the clinic, is the clinical trials. A lot of Black people did not want to participate because everything kind of goes back to Loretta Lack. You're familiar with her, and the syphilis epidemic. And when you think about all of that, everything is from a trust standpoint. And so that's why I love what my doctor provided me with, because he is a Black physician and he gives the best advice that I feel, and I just can't speak high enough is that, when this comes out, we have to take it. I've not been one that ever had a flu shot, to be honest, like Ms. Sheila, I've never had one when I was at the clinic all those years. I've still not had one here. And thank God I've been blessed that I've been healthy. But this particular virus right here, it scares me because, like I said, it seems to attack even areas where you've never even had a problem. Okay. And that's scary. That's just very scary, you know? So, and then I looked at today, there's been over 408,000 deaths in the United States. That's a lot of people who have lost families and generations. So.
Are there any other questions? Ms. McDonald?
This is real quick, and I'm glad you brought up about the clinical trials, because that's one of the things that creates kind of this hysteria to should I get a vaccination. But in looking at how they're rolling out and with the number of people that are enrolled in the clinical trials, I think we have more numbers than we would have in any ordinary clinical trial because of the magnitude of what's happening. So we have a lot of numbers coming in, which has forced us to move quickly to a phase 3, whereas opposed to we will still be in phase 1 or going into 2 until we got to sort of like the last phases, because the numbers are coming in a lot quicker.
Yes.
So I think that when you look at it from a 50-50 standpoint, if you had to roll the dice, you're pretty much safer with saying, I'm going to go for this injection. Because with everything, you're going to have a fatality. We have comorbidities that people already have. And some people, like you said, are asymptomatic. So they may be getting the vaccination without even knowing that they have it, which would cause an adverse reaction. So it's still kind of, I think it borders more on being safer to have it, expect the unexpected. But I can speak for myself with having underlying medical conditions, difficulty breathing. I would rather go on the safe side because I am absolutely scared of contracting COVID and then ending up on a respirator.
Yes, and that's a very valid point, Ms. McDonald. And what I will say is that this has also heightened the mental health piece. Okay. And especially for our seniors, there are many of them are already in isolation, and many of them have loved ones have died, their husbands, their families. I mean, just so much loss. And but then it's also heightened a lot of our young people. I've heard more stories about suicide than ever before with our young people. A young man on our street, because him and his girlfriend got into it, he cut both of his wrists. It's just I've just never seen so much in my life, and I am not that young. Isn't that right, Mr. Cockfield? So,
but I have a question.
Yes,
this is there any difference between the two shots, the Pfizer shot and the Moderna shot, or is it basically the same?
It's basically the same. It's basically the same. Like I said, I'm going to wait for the Johnson shot because I just want one shot. I think, when you get the first shot, you have to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get the second shot. And that's the reason why the people in New York are spazzing out now, because there's not been enough of the second rotation of that shot, and they're coming up to people need the second shot. So for me, I'm going to wait until the Johnson & Johnson won't come out and get the one shot, because I think that's just better. And especially I think even in our Black community, trying to track down so many of our people to even do anything. A lot of our people are trans, and I know you all see this at the library a lot. It's like a one hit and miss. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we can get the one shot and be one and done, then go for it. But I would just still say to you all, as hard as it is not to be with your loved ones, it's just a sacrifice that we have to make until everybody is pretty much vaccinated. And that's just kind of where we are right now. It's unfortunate, but that's just what the society that we're in.
How soon do you think the Johnson & Johnson shot is coming out?
So they've not, they're working on it. It has to be approved by the FDA. They're close. I hope with, President Biden has said 100 days. So I think way before then, we should hopefully have it. Yeah.
Ms. Adams, I would like to continue our conversation with our staff and with our public. And I would love to connect you with our network administrator, Mrs. Sarah Green, who can coordinate.
Okay.
if your schedule permits. And of course, we will provide an honorarium to you around additional programming. So please work with Ms. Green. She'll get your information from Mr. Turner. What East Cleveland Public Library is all about, informing our community. We are in the business of information.
Yes, you are. And I thank you so much, you guys.
This was really informative. Thank you so much.
What'd you say, Ross?
Yeah, I just want to ask a question. Do you know if the Stephanie Tubbs Jones clinic will be giving shots?
I know that they were last year, Ross, and I don't know. I haven't received a schedule this year of that, but I can tell you that Caroline's is doing it, and the Neon down the street from Shaw High School, they do it.
Okay.
Mary is the director over there. Her name is Mary, and if you all want, I can give you her information, Mr. Lattimore, so you all can have it. But Neon is doing it. We had an event in your back, in the back there this past summer when we were signing people up for the voter and the census and the shots. And so Neon does a phenomenal job with doing that. And they would probably have no problem with coming out and doing that on a consistent basis for you, Mr. Latimer. So I'll definitely pass that information on to you, as it's good to have. And they have a good return, because what you don't want is a 4 and 5 day wait on your results. You want 24 hours. 48 hours results on those tests. You know what I'm saying? The sooner you get the test back, the more you know. And that's what you want. And that's what they're providing. So Caroline's is doing it. The county is doing it. I'll share those contacts with you so that you can get that set up there. Because we still need to be doing testing. We got to do it. Just like Mr. Rashid, I'm not saying your name, Rashid, right? With the voting situation, it's the same thing. You know, I don't know what it is with East Cleveland that we just don't come out and do and support these things, but we have to do it. It's so many people in East Cleveland that have mental health issues and they don't take care of themselves. It's just, like I say, for 11 years, I've dealt with that. And my passion is still there. I grew up in East Cleveland. And my passion is always for my people, regardless, you know, so.
Well, thank you so very much for your valuable input today. And if there are no other questions,
thank you.
I think we should.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. I enjoy it.
I can tell for sure. Okay, so we're going to move to the next item on the agenda, which is adjournment.
I move for adjournment.
And that was quick.
Great job, everybody.
Second, Mrs. Shaheed, second that motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, we've got the motion in a second. We have to vote on this if we do all in favor, or either Mr. Turner, please call the roll.
Mr. Rashid.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mays.
Yay.
Dr. Harris.
Yes.
Ms. Shaheed.
Yes.
Ms. Sharpley.
Yes.
Mr. Silvera.
Yes.
Ms. McDonald.
Yes.
I have 7 yeses.
7 yeses means the meeting is adjourned. And thank everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good
evening. Go back under the bed.
Goodbye.
You say.
Yes, you go.